So it's Halloween. Okay, so it's not, but it's not far off. So in the spirit of the spookiest time of the year, let's take a look at even more disturbing Easter eggs that you can find in video games. As always, if you think you know of a disturbing Easter egg that I haven't covered before, then let me know in the comments. And as things stand, we are now just 40,000 subscribers away from 1 million subs. So why not do me a favour and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. Now, as a dog lover, hearing the sound of a dog crying always sends a shiver down my spine. I hate it. That means that any game that features a crying dog automatically becomes disturbing. But this next Easter egg really takes the biscuit. Or the Scooby snack, if you will. At this location on the map, you can encounter this dog sitting outside of a house. And given the police barricade in place, I think it's safe to say that whatever happened here wasn't good. Well, if we approach the door of the house, we can hear this. So inside the house, the sounds of a crying dog can be heard. And like I said, I hate this sound. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is no way inside of this house. And I'm also pretty sure that the reason for the crime scene is never explained. I mean, my worst fear is that a dog is trapped in the house and whoever was responsible for it is no longer in the land of the living. So now the dog is forgotten and alone. I hope I'm wrong, and I really hope that someone in the comments knows more about this so I can stop thinking about a hungry crying dog that's been left alone. Now, when it comes to disturbing or creepy things that you can find in Skate, your mind might immediately jump to the various microtransactions the always online skate 'em up tries to sell you, or the fact that the quickest way to get around Skate is to roll, which makes all of the sense. Well, at this location on the map, you can find a sewer drain, and there's not a red balloon in sight, which is very surprising. Well, if we hang around long enough, and I mean that very literally, eventually you'll hear this. So a very guttural roar can be heard coming from inside the sewers. Now, the only thing that matches my love for dogs is my absolutely irrational fear of crocodiles and alligators. I mean, I say it's irrational because I live in England, and alligators and crocodiles thankfully don't call this place home. Now, the reason that I bring up my alligator and crocodile fear is that this sound does sound a lot like the sounds that alligators or crocodiles make. I don't know which one makes the sounds, but I know I've heard it before. Of course, there have long been rumours that alligators are hiding in the sewers of certain cities, so perhaps that's what this is. And if it isn't, it could be something even worse. Now, if you've ever watched a horror movie, you've probably seen the mirror fake out before. You know, when a character bends down to wash their face and when they stand back up, you're expecting something to be behind them in the mirror. But it's never actually there. Of course, the fake out stemmed from the amount of scenes where something was behind the main character. Well, in MeSide, if you stand and stare at the mirror at the beginning of the game for around a minute or so, this will happen. So after waiting, a very strange and very tall figure will appear before disappearing. And that's it. As far as I'm aware, and for full disclosure, I haven't completed MeSide yet, but this thing doesn't appear in the game after this moment. You don't see it again, and I don't know if that makes it more creepy or not. Now, this next Easter egg is disturbing to me because it takes a very harmless looking popular video game character and makes them, well, it makes them not harmless. Allow me to explain. In the short indie horror game Unspoken, you can find a tiny Among Us figure, and this little guy is the very definition of harmless. Or should that be armless, you know, because it has no arms?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Anyway, the crewmate's legs are longer than usual, which does look kind of strange, but it's tiny. What's the worst it could do? Well, later in the game, if you head to the elevator and use the code that I do, this will happen. So the tiny Among Us crewmate is now not so tiny. And to make things worse, there's now two of them. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that being trapped in a room with these two is never going to end well. Now, I mentioned earlier that hearing dogs crying is disturbing. Hearing the sound of a dog crying always sends a shiver down my spine. I hate it. See, I did say that. Well, the sound of babies crying is not only disturbing, but it's also enough to put the teeth of any parents on edge. Here's the thing. Usually when a baby cries, they either need feeding, burping, changing, or any combination of the three. I'm not saying it's easy to work out the combination, because it definitely isn't, but it can be done. Well, in Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, you can hear a baby crying for a completely different reason. So during the now infamous No Russian mission, you can hear a baby crying in the toilets. Of course, there is no way inside the toilet, but the sounds of the crying alone are enough to make anyone feel uncomfortable. The reason that the baby is in the toilet in the first place could be any number of things, from the parents hiding inside with the baby, which is a best case scenario, or that the parents locked the baby in the toilet alone so that it would be safe, which might be the worst case scenario. Another sound that is always creepy is the sound of static from a CRT TV. I mean, the Ring movies are probably responsible for this particular fear, but there is definitely something creepy about the sound of static. Well, in People Playground, you can spawn a CRT TV, and you can even turn it on.
Het aanzicht van de Oranje Nassau-mijn 1 in Heerlen heeft een verandering ondergaan met het gereedkomen van een nieuwe bronnenschoorsteen die de hoogste is van Europa.
So, some sort of documentary can be seen playing on the TV, which isn't that creepy. Well, if you load up the tower map and place the TV at this exact location, things will be very different. Now, you know how I mentioned The Ring earlier? The way that this TV starts up reminds me of that movie. Couple that with the very creepy music that plays, it's enough to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I don't know if there's a meaning behind the circle or why it only happens when you place the TV here, but what I do know is, I don't like it. Now, this next Easter egg was the reason that I decided to make this video in the first place. The regular zombies in Dying Like the Beast aren't particularly scary. I mean, sure, they can get all up in your face, but they don't really pose a threat to the man mountain that is Kyle Crane. The Volatiles, on the other hand, are a completely different ballgame. Even in beast mode, Volatiles are capable of killing Crane, and if that wasn't enough, they're also really fast. With that in mind, it's probably best to avoid any contact with Volatiles. Well, at this location on the map, you can find this. So behind a locked door, we can find a volatile nest, with a volatile get-together in full swing. Once the volatiles realise you're watching, they give chase, which is always terrifying. Now, finding something disturbing in SCP-5K is like finding a tub of Gamer Sups in my house. It's pretty easy, and that's because Gamer Sups is a low-calorie drink that works out at less than 40 cents per serving, and each tub contains 100 servings. So it's a cheaper and healthier way to get the energy boost that you usually get from brands like Red Bull, just minus all that sugar. Remember, use code CAP at GamerSups to get 10% off your orders. Anyway, with that in mind, any Easter egg in SCP-5K has to be really disturbing to warrant a mention here. And I think that this one is. In the logistics area, you can find and shoot 3 boxes, with the first one being here, the second one being here, and the third one being here. So those boxes are pretty well hidden. I wonder what shooting them did. Well, head back to where we found the first box to find out. So we can find an SCP crab having a dance, whilst this thing just stares at us. I mean, on the scale of creepy and disturbing, this is more on the WTF kind of things, but I really don't like the way that this thing is looking at me, and that's enough to warrant its inclusion here. Now, it's universally agreed upon that mannequins are creepy. They occupy a 5-star mansion right in the middle of Uncanny Valley, so seeing them in any game usually creeps me out. Well, during the 5th level of Nightmare House 2, you can find mannequins everywhere. I mean, there's so many of them that they even feel confident enough to hurt you and then pretend like nothing happened. Well, if you're the vengeful type, when you reach this room, you can knock all the mannequins over. You know, to send a message. After knocking over the final mannequin, this will happen. Oh, and this is a pretty long Easter egg, but trust me, it's worth it.
Better on the country. I'm not going nowhere. Seems to make things worse. Everything we do seems to make things worse. Everything we do seems to make things worse.
So it seems that knocking those mannequins over really annoyed some of the other mannequins, as you are guided through a House of Horrors-like maze full of mannequins all looking to make you jump. Or worse. I mean, next time a random hole appears in the wall after I've just beaten up a bunch of mannequins, I'll make sure I avoid it. Oh, and sticking with mannequins, this time in Death Stranding 2. Now, much like real life, it's very important that you get some rest in Death Stranding 2. So that of course means sleeping. Well, sometimes when you sleep, Sam will have nightmares. And when I say nightmares, I really mean nightmares. Now, I don't know about you, but the sight of this thing coming towards me is enough to make me never sleep again. But that's just me. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in games, then please consider subscribing as we fast approach the 1 million subscriber milestone. A huge thank you to my wonderful Patreon and YouTube channel members for all of their support, and as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.